Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Misadventures in Travel. For this one, I'm going to advise that you stop watching if you are squeamish. This one is a little bit icky. So I'm going to share with you a couple of times traveling that we had to deal with, let's say, unpleasant bodily functions. Okay, the first time, there's two stories here. The first one I'm going to share with you is really quick. It's about a time that my dad, me, and my brother went to San Antonio, Texas. We took the train. As you can see, there's a trend here. We take the train a lot, or we used to anyway. Okay, so we took Amtrak down to Texas. I think you might be able to take it right to San Antonio if I remember right. And I don't remember a lot about this trip. I remember we stayed in a nice hotel. I remember thinking that the Riverwalk was really neat. And that's about it. I don't know what all we did. I don't know how old I was. I was pretty young. I think I was like maybe 10, 11, 12, somewhere in that range, like 6th grade maybe. And I think it was spring, boy, I don't know. Either spring break or summer. But for some reason, I think it was pretty hot. So that makes me think it was summer, but that may just be my perception because up here it was cooler. I don't know. Well, anyway, I think it was the first day we got there. I don't know what time we arrived, but I think right away after we got off the train, we went to the Alamo. Okay? And the Alamo used to be, if you know your history, used to be a much bigger fort and stuff. And now it's basically just that one little building that you see on TV and movies and stuff. There's some other things around it that are part of the site, but it's basically just that one structure. And we were inside the Alamo, and I remember I didn't feel very well. I don't know if it was just really hot that day, and I was kind of not feeling great. And inside that building was hang on. Sorry about that. The air conditioner kicked on, and that's kind of noisy, so it's hot here too. The inside of the building, to me at that age, smelled stale and kind of, I don't know, I remember joking like, it smells like death because so many people died at the Alamo. But I just wasn't feeling the best, and the heat was kind of getting to me. I probably needed some water. It's probably what was wrong. Maybe some rest. I don't know. You don't sleep very well on trains. I mean, maybe if you have a sleeper car and you get to lay flat, you do, but not if you're sitting in coach. So anyway, we were standing there at this model of the original Alamo fort, and I want to say it was a national park ranger. Would that be right? It was like a national park ranger. I remember the brown uniform. And it was a woman, and she was giving us like a talk about the history of the Alamo. And my dad was standing behind me, and he had his arms like around me, like around my waist. And, you know, just kind of standing there with me. My brother was standing next to us or something. And she was giving her talk. And I said to my dad, I kind of whispered, "Daddy, I don't feel very good." And he goes, "Oh, you're fine." And he squeezed me tighter. And like he didn't want me to move because he thought it was rude, you know, if I interrupted this park ranger's talk. And I threw up in the Alamo. So yeah, that's why I remember the Alamo, because I threw up there. So anyway, then my dad's like, "Oh shoot." And I mean, I threw up right there on the floor in the middle of the Alamo with the park ranger right there. And I was horrified. And so my dad quick like dragged me out. And my brother followed us. And then there was like restrooms outside. And so my dad's like, "Here, go clean yourself up." And again, dad left us. He went across the street and I think bought a box of tissues, like so I could like clean myself off or whatever with something softer than, you know, rough paper towels or whatever. And he brought them back. And I think though, by the time he came back, he didn't go very far. It was like right across the street. I think I had already sufficiently cleaned myself up in the bathroom. And I think I was fine after that. He got me like some water and everything. I was mostly just really embarrassed because I had thrown up in the Alamo. And but after that, after we got like situated and I had some water, maybe a snack or something, we went back in and I was very relieved to see that there was already no evidence of this happening. So the Park Service or whatever had very quickly cleaned this up. So that was one story. The other time that I remember that we really had to deal with vomiting is when we went to that one family vacation that I mentioned way back in an earlier video that we took as a family of 5. My husband, me, and all 3 kids. That's the only time, well, other than like going to Wisconsin Dells. We did do that a few times, but the only big one where we flew on an airplane to get somewhere with all 5 of us was January of 2009. We went to Disney World and we stayed at the Yacht Club, which is my favorite resort. I love the Yacht Club. That whole nautical theming is just my favorite thing on earth. And we really couldn't afford it. It was very expensive. I remember that trip, the whole thing. We got the deluxe dining plan. You do not need the deluxe dining plan. It's way too much food. Okay. We got the deluxe dining plan. We stayed at the Yacht Club. That is the only time I have ever stayed at a deluxe resort. And it's probably the only time I ever will stay at a deluxe resort. Unless I'm by myself and I'm staying for one night. That's probably all I'll ever be able to afford. But anyway, the moderates are great. I love them. But we were staying at the Yacht Club. And so we had the 2 queen beds. And then we had that little extra bed. That they have in a lot of they even have those pull-down ones now at Port Orleans, Riverside, and Caribbean Beach. So it was one of those. And when they also had that same setup when we stayed at Paradise. What's the name of that place? Paradise Pier Hotel at Disneyland. Because I remember Megan slept on that little bed. But anyway, so I don't know, my husband and I were probably in one bed. Megan was in a bed. And Andrew slept on that little bed because he would have been 12. I think he was 12. He'd just turned 12. Megan was 4. And Ben was a baby. He wasn't 1 yet. And I remember that because we got his very first haircut at the Main Street Barbershop at Magic Kingdom, which is really cool, by the way, and you should check it out. They did a really nice job. We got to get lots of pictures. They gave us a lock of his hair, which I saved in his baby book, and he got little personalized Mickey ears for his first haircut. They did a really neat job. It was really cool. So if you are taking a baby that's never had their haircut before, you should. I mean, anybody can get their haircut there, but it was kind of just a neat experience for baby's first haircut to get it done at Main Street. But anyway, and then we had a little portable crib which Disney provided for the baby. Okay. All right. Apparently, right around the time we left, we picked up some kind of bug, some type of gastrointestinal virus. Everybody got sick except Andrew. Andrew was super lucky. He's the only one who didn't get sick. Everybody else got sick. And we're talking both ends, okay? The worst of it, I will give you the specifics if you can bear it. Megan, we also think she had developed, because she suffered with this for a number of years, and we never really figured out completely what was wrong. We think it was a combination of like gastric reflux when she laid down, and also eating too late, and also possibly an intolerance to dairy, and possibly an allergy to red dye. We never really figured out what exactly it was, but we suspected some combination of those things, because for many years, starting around this trip, Megan had this terrible tendency to throw up in the night. And a lot of times it would be in bed. She would throw up in the bed, sometimes in my bed. There was a summer, I remember, we had a zillion thunderstorms, and she was scared every night of the thunderstorms, and she would come into my bed and then she'd throw up in my bed. It was fantastic. So anyway, or she would like sleepwalk almost. She would get up and she would walk, like, I don't know if she was trying to go to the bathroom, and she would throw up in weird places all over the house, never in the toilet. When she got older, she started to make it to the toilet because I think she must have been able to wake up enough. And then at some point, it stopped, and she hasn't thrown up in years, knock on wood. But she would throw up in the weirdest places in the house. The hallway, the bathroom floor, but not in the toilet, her bedroom floor, the couch. And then in the morning, she wouldn't remember having done it. It was so bizarre and really disgusting. So anyway, so the worst, I would say the worst part of it was, I think it was 3 or 4 nights in a row, Megan threw up in the bed. And it was kind of scary because she'd be like laying flat on her back and she'd throw up, and I thought she was going to choke. And I'd wake up because I'd hear her. And so we had this terrible ordeal of having to like switch beds around and strip the bed and everything. And I felt so bad for housekeeping. I actually apologized to our housekeeper to her face because I felt so bad, because it was like every night she was throwing up in the bed, and I left her huge tips. I left her like $20 a day because I felt so bad that this kept happening. So that was the one thing. That was Megan's thing. Although it was at the beginning of the trip. And I think after like day 4, she got much better, and then she enjoyed the latter half. She was still able to enjoy stuff, but I'm sure that was no fun to keep, because she wasn't getting enough sleep either. So that was that. Little baby Ben, I don't think he ever threw up, but he had diarrhea so bad. And this is a baby in diapers, but when your baby's diaper doesn't get contained in the diaper, and we went through all of his clothes, like all of his clothes. I don't know why I didn't send him to the laundry. I remember we stuffed him in a bag, but like this was just the stinky pile of mess that we had to take home on the plane. And it was just piling up in the corner. And I think his thing was like the whole trip, because I remember we ran out of clothes because we kept having to change him. We ran out of pajamas, we ran out of pants because everything got messed up. And I think I had to buy outfits in the park for him to wear because we didn't have any more clothes. We must have had enough diapers. I must have brought enough diapers, or I had them shipped ahead maybe. I think I had them shipped ahead on that particular trip. Like all the baby supplies, you used to be able to do that. I don't know if you can still do that at Disney anymore, but you used to be able to like ship ahead supplies for like a baby. And so like all of his eating stuff and diapers and wipes and everything I had shipped ahead, so I didn't have to, and it was waiting for us when we checked into the yacht club, and I didn't have to carry it all on the plane and increase our suitcase weight. And then we used them up while we were there, and then we didn't have to take them home with us. So it was great. But anyway, that was the problem with Ben. I got off pretty lucky too. I was fine basically the whole time, other than the fact that I had to clean up all this mess. The day we went to Hollywood Studios, which is one of my favorite parks. I just love the theming of Hollywood Studios and that classic Hollywood stuff, and I just love it. And I was so disappointed. I have still never seen Voyage of the Little Mermaid because I missed it this day. And when we went last time in 2015, we were standing outside the door waiting to go into Voyage of the Little Mermaid, and we had to leave because we were going to be late for the kids' Jedi time to be Jedis and fight Darth Vader. What's that called? You know what I mean. We had signed up for it in the morning, and I'm glad that we did that. We also missed our dinner reservation for 50's Primetime Cafe, which I'm still bummed about. We'll go back another time. But that was one of the funnest, that's not a word, most fun things I've ever done at Disney was when the kids got to do that Jedi Training Academy. That's what it's called. It was hilarious. First of all, the guy who does it, like the actors who are the Jedi training guy, was so funny. He ad-libbed with those kids. It was hysterical. Andrew and I were laughing so hard we about died. And then it's fun for them because they get to be a Jedi and they get to fight Darth Vader and everything, and it's so cool. And then we got the greatest PhotoPass pictures, really cool PhotoPass pictures, which if you look back on my video about theme parks, I have a few of them at the end of that video. and just fantastic PhotoPass pictures that the PhotoPass photographer, and that's one of the events, that and like Enchanted Tales with Belle, where they actually give you a card. They can't scan everybody's magic bands because, and you actually end up using the code on that card, you get everybody's pictures. So you get a whole bunch of pictures of other people's kids. But it's nice because they get a lot of really good pictures of your kids at those. So anyway, tangent. The day we went to Hollywood Studios, back in 2009, I didn't feel well. I don't know if my tummy was bothering me. I think I felt kind of nauseous. And I think the main thing was I was just really tired because I had been up in the night like 4 and 5 nights in a row with these kids who were sick. And so I left my husband and the kids at the Hollywood Studios, and I went back to the resort and just took a really long nap. And after that, I was fine. And I think it was probably mostly that I was tired. And it wasn't too much of a bummer because that's the day it rained. And there's all these pictures of the kids that my husband took when they're in those ponchos and everything, and poncho over the stroller, and because they got soaked. So it wasn't that great of a day, and it was probably good that that was the day I missed. And then my husband only had one thing happen, and I do feel kind of bad about this. The one restaurant that he wanted to go to really bad was San Angel Inn in the Mexico Pavilion, the one that's inside the pyramid where the boat ride goes by and it's all stars and everything and it's really pretty. That was the one he was really most looking forward to. And we got there for our reservation. We sat down, we ordered our food, and my husband bolted from the restaurant. I don't think he ran, but he left quickly. And he told me later, I don't know why he didn't go to the bathroom. I don't think he knew where it was. The bathrooms are kind of hidden there. You got to know exactly where they are. He ran outside and threw up outside. I don't know where. I don't think it could have been in a garbage can because Disney's garbage cans are closed, but like in the bushes or something. And he threw up. And while he was away from the table, our food came. And he came back and sat down, but he didn't get to eat anything. Because he didn't feel good and he'd just thrown up. And I think that was our last night of the trip. So that was the way it ended. So that was kind of a bummer. So anyway, I don't know what kind of lessons you can get from this, other than it's really important, just to take care of yourselves all the time, especially when you travel. Wash your hands because that's how you pick things up. But I really think just the timing of when we all got sick, I really think we had picked it up at home and just happened to get sick. Because I think Megan threw up that very first night. I mean, unless we picked up something on the plane or at the airport. But wash your hands, get plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water, be careful what you eat. I don't think we were affected by anything we ate, but obviously if you eat the wrong thing, that can make you sick too. That did happen to me when we went to Disney World in 2015. I think it was something I ate in Tomorrowland. Don't eat in Tomorrowland. There's nothing good in there. There's just not. At Sunny, what's the guy? The alien guy that plays the piano. That place. Something did not agree with me there, and I ended up missing the meet and greet with some of the princesses. Andrew thankfully took the kids for me because I was in the bathroom. I mean, it was just a one and done thing, but yeah. So be careful what you eat. And I guess I would also say be careful in the heat, because as I mentioned in an earlier video when we went to Las Vegas and Megan got like heat stroke or sickness from the heat. And then when we went to San Antonio that time, I think the heat kind of got to me, and the heat can make you sick too. So be careful with the heat. You can get those chilly towels that can keep you cool. Drink plenty of water. And remember, at all Disney parks, do not pay for water. Don't make the mistake we made at Disneyland in 2012. We kept buying bottles of water for $5 a pop and carrying around these heavy bottles of water. That was before I knew that at all Disney parks, water is free. You just go into any counter service restaurant and say, can I have some water? And actually, most of the places all around, they'll have like water cooler things sitting there and just cups that you can just take. But if you go in, I went into Casey's Corner, I remember, and asked for a glass of water last time, and they gave me a great big thing, of ice water. So water is free. Don't ever be afraid to ask for water at Disney, because they'll just give it to you. There's no excuse they don't want their guests to get sick and be passing out. So there's no excuse for not drinking water. And yeah, I guess that would be the only thing. So just take care of yourself and make sure you're eating and drinking wisely and getting plenty of sleep. And you should have an enjoyable vacation. So that is my misadventures in travel for this time. And I will look forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks for joining me, and have a good day.